Here we are, on a small planet circling a star in a universe that is mostly silent and cold. For most of human history, people didn't know what lightning was, why the sun rose, or where we came from. And when humans don't understand something, they reach for stories. Not because they're foolish, but because they need answers. Silence is frightening. Uncertainty is unbearable. So people created religion. Religion was not born from truth. It was born from fear, confusion, and the need to feel in control. Think about a child. When they don't understand why a parent is angry, they often assume it's their fault. Early humans did the same. When droughts, floods, or disease struck, they assumed they had offended some powerful force. That wasn't weakness. It was the brain trying to make sense of chaos. And if people thought they could stop suffering by pleasing unseen powers, they would try anything. Religion gave people a framework. It made the world feel less random. If crops failed, it wasn't just bad luck. It meant the gods were angry. And if the gods were angry, there was something to fix. Instead of chaos, there was order. Do this ritual. Avoid that behavior. Maybe the world will make sense again. But once those stories took hold, they became useful in ways that had little to do with truth. Leaders saw an opportunity. If you could convince people that your authority came from the gods, they would stop questioning it. Obedience wasn't just about loyalty anymore. It was tied to eternal punishment or eternal reward. You don't need swords when people believe disobedience is a sin. That is how temples became political centers and priests stood beside kings. Not because they discovered truth, but because they offered control wrapped in faith. Religion didn't spread because it was true. It spread because it was useful. For rulers, it created obedience. For ordinary people, it created identity. It told them who they were, how to live, who to trust, and who to fear. It drew sharp lines between us and them, and those lines created loyalty and division. Religion explained the unexplainable. It justified authority. It defined morality. It divided the world into insiders and outsiders. These were not accidents. They were features. One of the cleverest tricks of religion was claiming to be eternal, that it always existed, that it wasn't created at all, that it came from the skies or a sacred book. But everything we know has a beginning. Religions are no different. The gods changed names, rituals shifted, texts were rewritten. And yet people still believed these systems were permanent. If religion were truly unchanging, why would thousands exist? Why would gods in one land care deeply about diet while gods elsewhere ignore it completely? Why would holy wars rage between people who all claim to follow peace? The variety of religion is itself proof of its human origin. Some religions emerged to explain death. The finality of it was unbearable, so they promised a second chance, an afterlife, rebirth, eternal reward. Others regulated behavior. As societies grew, people needed shared rules. Religion added consequences beyond human law. You weren't just breaking a rule, you were offending a divine force. Even if no one was watching, you believed someone always was. Religion became a surveillance system before technology existed, and it offered meaning in suffering. If life was painful, people wanted to believe there was a reason, that pain wasn't wasted, that justice would come later. Comforting, yes, but also paralyzing. If justice is promised after death, you're less likely to fight for it here and now. And that served those in power very well. The most successful religions blended fear and hope. They offered safety, love, and eternal peace. But only if you obeyed. And if you didn't, punishment, fire, torment, exclusion. That's not a system built on evidence. That's coercion. Even today, beliefs often survive not because they are convincing, but because they are taught before children can question them. When faith becomes identity, doubt feels like betrayal. That's not faith, that's conditioning. Some argue religion gave us morality, but morality existed long before scriptures: empathy, cooperation, fairness. These were survival traits of human groups. Religion often took that natural decency and rebranded it as divine command, as if kindness only mattered if it was ordered. But morality does not need myths. It grows from understanding each other, not from fear of punishment. Religion has also been used to enforce patriarchy, to limit women's choices, and to justify inequality. It has accumulated wealth while preaching poverty. Golden temples, jeweled altars, private jets, all in the name of detachment from material things. It borrowed rituals and symbols from older faiths, stitched together traditions and called them eternal. It tied itself to births, marriages, deaths, life's most emotional milestones, making itself hard to separate from identity. And again it was used to legitimize wars, conquest, even genocide. When violence is called holy, questioning it becomes heresy. For centuries, religion explained the world: thunder, disease, the shape of the earth. But science began to replace those answers. The earth was not flat. Disease was not caused by demons. Lightning carried no moral lesson. Slowly, religion retreated from the physical world into the realm of meaning. Not how the world works, but why we are here. But even there, its answers lacked evidence. They were stories offered as certainty. Here is the truth. Meaning does not have to come from myth. It can come from love, from creativity, from learning, from struggle, from kindness, from connection. You don't need a cosmic plan to live a meaningful life. You just need honesty, awareness, and the courage to ask where your beliefs come from. Religion was created because we didn't know better. But now we do. We have history, evidence, and tools to understand reality without superstition. We can be moral without threats. We can be united without uniformity. We can be human without pretending we are part of a divine experiment. So the question is no longer why religion was created. The real question is, why does it still hold so much power? And are we ready to build something better, with truth, with compassion, and with the freedom to think for ourselves?